say here that listening to the Gambia report, there is some element of denial in the report. Yesterday, I listened to my brother from the Gambia, Honorable Sharif Sir. He told this House that Sierra Leoneans are involved in trafficking drugs into the Gambia. Today, I'm surprised that it's not on the...
So, as soon as there is one of we Nigeria honorable, when they talk about Sierra Leone, who we Gambia person, who are honorable, who they can represent Gambia, when they talk na the well of parliament, who na ECOWAS parliament, where everybody know. So, we Sierra Leone don't find that we are a cartel seller now for drugs. So now patient and listen to the man himself now. When a Nigeria honorable, but at the well of parliament.
Only about Sierra Leoneans, but the report also named Senegalese and Guineans. So I was wondering, why did Honorable Sir only single out Sierra Leoneans? So I was wondering. Thank God, the report has named some other nationals. Madam Speaker, I want to put it to my brothers and sisters that for every non-Gambian drug trafficker, there's a Gambian host or there's a Gambian accomplice. So it's not a question of hiding your own criminals, and exposing other criminals. I think what we have to do, if we are serious about fighting drug trafficking, we have to ensure that we bring all the criminals to book. Don't cover your own criminals and expose other criminals. Madam Speaker, so from the report, they only got about 6 kilograms of these drugs. It means there are a lot more in the communities. In the same report, they have said the drugs are being trafficked by land, sea, and air. So it means they have to look inwards. Probably even the Gambian security apparatus should be checked. Because to bring drug by air, it needs some official effort from the Gambia to be able to do it successfully. By land, also, I think they have to check themselves. The Gambian authorities have to be serious about fighting drug trafficking. I also want to come to the Gambia. They have done very well in the fight against corruption. We are told that senior Gambian officials are in court, are facing trials for corruption. The fight against corruption has to start with itself. So I'm happy that the Gambian government is trying their own senior officials. That is a very big signal to other smaller criminals. I want to congratulate Ivory Coast for winning the cup. They have done very well. The past political history of Ivory Coast has been very turbulent. I'm happy that they're reporting that calmness has returned to Ivory Coast. And thank you very much, Ivory Coast, for showing good example. I want to commend His Excellency the President. President Bio is doing same in Sierra Leone. For him to have allowed a former head of state to leave that country to come for medical treatment in Nigeria when he should be in court shows that he's a president that is listening and wants to promote peace in Sierra Leone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Merci, chers collègues. Honorable Edwin Snow, honorable sénateur.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me start with Côte d'Ivoire. I think Côte d'Ivoire record is enviable, and we must applaud them for some very good initiatives that they are taking in enhancing democracy. Like Rwanda,
Rwanda, the whole world is praising Rwanda, and they don't have term limit. So maybe you may as well do your constitution, because I think the issue has been the constitution. So that if your president is doing so well and you don't need term limit, then you can do that. But maybe you just need to look at your constitution. But two issues with Cote d'Ivoire. One is that you just reported, and I want to be clear before the translation put me in trouble again like they did the last time, but you reported that you don't owe the community. I was privileged. I attended the last Council of Ministers meeting of ECOWAS, and the only countries that don't owe today is Guinea-Bissau, Gambia, Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Togo. That's a report from ECOWAS. So maybe you need to check. You actually owe. So you reported just now that you don't owe. So you just need to check that so you can clarify that. And the other issue is that regarding the highest producing rubber country in Africa is Liberia. It's not. You come second to Liberia. We come first in rubber. Cote d'Ivoire comes second. So don't take our place. As regards what you have done well, I must admit Cote d'Ivoire has done well and they have set a good record. Coming to my own country, Gambia, I think Gambia, you left too many things out. You hosted the ORC summit in the Gambia. You pre-finance or power investor and other investor pre-finance 89 brand new vehicles for that summit. Maybe you just need to tell us what you want to do with it. Before you started dividing it with the government officials already. The other issue, just last week, there was major protests in the Gambia on the cost of living and increasing the salary of judicial officials. So the cost of living in Gambia is decreasing while we are increasing. There was protests from the citizens where the majority leader of the parliament, who is here with us, giving each member of parliament a vehicle, where there was also a protest in the Gambia on that. Maybe you just need to talk about that so that we can understand how they'll be crying for the cost of living and you are giving a lot more to members of parliament. The issue of the constitution. One of the things that Yahya Jammeh was greatly criticized for in the Gambia was the issue of the constitution. The last two country reports, the Gambian delegation informed us that they were working on working on the constitution. The president is now serving his second term and he still have not resolved the issue of a new constitution. He's also calling again for a referendum. Gambia is one of the only countries in the world that you don't need absolute majority to win. You can have 20% of the vote. If somebody has 15%, you're president. I think we just need to look at that. It's always good to have at least half or more of the citizens voting for you to give you that mandate. The last issue from the Gambia, the permanent secretary, the anti-corruption.
Vous avez une minute, s'il vous plaît.
The Anti-Corruption Commission convicted the permanent secretary for corruption, and the president pardoned him. I think that undermines the fight against corruption. Maybe you just need to tell us why did the president pardon someone who was convicted for corruption. I think that undermines seriously the fight against corruption. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Merci, cher collègue. Honorable Orlando.
Muito obrigado, Sua Excelência Presidente do Parlamento da CDAO. Não vou fazer questões, mas vou fazer algumas considerações em relação a necessidade, em relação à necessidade de melhorarmos os nossos relatórios de países. Antes de continuar, quero felicitar ambas as delegações, a delegação da Gâmbia e a delegação de Côte d'Ivoire, pela apresentação dos seus respectivos relatórios. Vou concentrar-me em questões políticas e evitar juízo de valores, avaliações, porque eu penso que no Parlamento temos que ter alguma prudência em algumas abordagens, devemos respeitar os nossos chefes de Estados, devemos respeitar a cimeira dos chefes de Estados e devemos concentrar-nos nas medidas de políticas, porque muitas vezes não conhecemos bem as especificidades, a realidade de cada um dos países, os detalhes de cada um dos países e podemos incorrer em erros que são desnecessários. Por isso, a cimeira do chefe de Estado e do Governo é a instituição máxima da CDO, ela deve ser respeitada e os nossos chefes de Estado.
That has been introduced to the Parliament of Gambia to lift the ban placed on the long-standing practice of female genital mutilation. Madam Speaker, I think Gambia Parliament should exercise a bit of restraint so far as this bill is concerned, looking at the challenges that we have with regards to this issue of FGM. Madam Speaker, the harmful effects of FGM or female circumcision outweighs its benefits. We have issues like complications during childbirth. Children or girls who go through FGM, they have a lot of complications during childbirth. Moreover, they also have a form of anemia and then formation of cysts and abscesses, which are all side effects against women who go through this form of torture. Keloid scalp formation also affects the childbirth. And then damage to the urethra. There are a whole lot of complications associated with this FGM. So lifting this ban is a big issue. I will entreat my brothers and sisters from Gambia Parliament to make sure that they don't lift this ban. It's very crucial. The ban should be still on this FGM. We have a serious issue so far as FGM is concerned. Damage to the urethra resulting to painful sexual intercourse, a whole lot of things connected to this FGM. So I will plead with my colleagues from Gambia to make sure that they don't lift this ban. Coming to Côte d'Ivoire, I want to commend Côte d'Ivoire for a successful hosting of the 34th AFCON, African Cup of Nations. There was a serene atmosphere, there were no casualties recorded, and hosted and won. I need to commend Côte d'Ivoire. I want to clap for Côte d'Ivoire for a successful of this 34th AFCON. You really did well. Then coming to amnesty granted to political prisoners has to be commended. We must also commend your president. He's doing well. 51 civilians and military persons were pardoned. Côte d'Ivoire president must also be commended for that exercise. That brings cohesion into the country. I would also want to talk about security index. Côte Côte d'Ivoire reports also indicated that the security index has dropped from 6.8 to 1.2, which is very laudable. So I highly want to commend Côte d'Ivoire on that aspect as well. And I would also want to commiserate with people who suffered all forms of havoc as a result of torrential rainfall that befell Côte d'Ivoire. Human lives were lost, properties were destroyed. I want to take this opportunity to commiserate people who went through these difficulties. And then also Côte d'Ivoire has a better way or an excellent approach to fighting terrorism per their reports. You are really doing well. I believe countries within the sub-region can also learn a lesson from Côte d'Ivoire on the issue about fight against terrorism. Drop victim to you mentioned that you are doing well. And then from all the indications of your economic indicators that you provided, it really means that Côte d'Ivoire economy is very sound and solid. From all the indicators that you provided, Côte d'Ivoire economy is very sound, and I want to commend you for that as well. You also mentioned an institute of nuclear medicine. You inaugurated an institute for nuclear medicine. Nuclear medicine is noted for treatment of all forms of cancers. So I want to find out if that institute has started treating cancer so that we can recommend to other countries' citizens to come for treatment so far as cancer treatment is concerned. And then also you talk about renal failure treatment. When you come to Ghana currently as we speak, we have put patients on renal failure on the National Health Insurance Scheme. So people who are going for treatment of renal failures are put on National Health Insurance Scheme that is taken care of because treatment is of high cost. Madam Speaker, lastly, I want to... Vous avez fait 6 minutes. Honorable Bako Arifan.
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. Je voudrais avant tout joindre ma voix à mes prédécesseurs pour féliciter les deux délégations pour la qualité des rapports qu'ils nous ont présentés. Je voudrais reconnaître que le rapport de la Côte d'Ivoire, en termes aussi bien d'efforts consentis dans la voie de la réconciliation nationale, dans le rétablissement de la sécurité dans le pays et en termes de performance économique, notamment dans le secteur agricole, je pense que tout ça mérite d'être salué et donc félicitations à la Côte d'Ivoire. Je voudrais aussi les féliciter pour le coup de marteau qu'ils ont donné à l'occasion de la CAN. Mais lorsque nous essayons de suivre un peu l'actualité, on a toujours quelques sujets de préoccupation. Et j'aimerais évoquer un ou deux sujets. Le premier, c'est que dans le rapport, ils ont mentionné que le parti du président Gbagbo l'a investi comme candidat à l'élection présidentielle de 2025. Et nous savons que le président Gbagbo est sous le coup d'une condamnation à 20 ans d'emprisonnement, même s'il est en liberté. Et à ce que je sache, quelqu'un qui est condamné ne peut être candidat au terme de la législation ivoirienne. Qu'en est-il exactement? Y a-t-il un projet de loi d'amnistie pour les faits qui le sont reprochés, ou bien une dérogation éventuelle pour lui, comme il y en a eu à l'occasion des accords de Marcoussis, par exemple, en ce qui concerne le président Ouattara pour lui permettre d'être candidat. Qu'en est-il exactement? Nous souhaiterions donc être fixés par rapport à cette question pour éviter d'avoir des situations de trouble à l'occasion, disons, de l'élection présidentielle de 2025, puisque lorsqu'une candidature va être annulée dans ces conditions, qu'est-ce qui va se passer? Donc, on souhaiterait être fixé sur les dispositions déjà prises dans le pays. Le second point concerne la jeunesse. Tel que le rapport a été présenté, on a comme l'impression que tout est rose et tout se passe très bien en ce qui concerne la jeunesse ivoirienne. Et pourtant, il y a beaucoup de situations de chômage, beaucoup de situations qui sont souvent évoquées. Est-ce qu'on peut avoir une idée, si vous voulez, des efforts déjà consentis en matière d'emploi et qu'est-ce qui reste à faire en termes donc, de taux de chômage qu'il y a dans le pays? Sur la Gambie, c'est un pays qui reconnaît, disons, sa fragilité en ce qui concerne le processus de réconciliation qui est déjà en cours dans le pays et donc il faut saluer la démarche du dialogue, de consultation et tout ce qui se fait jusque-là. Mais je suis préoccupé par une question en ce qui concerne les mutilations génitales féminines. Il y a, vous avez évoqué un débat, un projet de loi sur la question qui semble avoir été suspendu ou retiré. Quelle est la situation du débat sur cette question dans la société gambienne?
30 secondes.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Il faut comprendre, disons, les répercussions sur les débats parlementaires dans ce pays. Car nous avons appris qu'un député a pu même être agressé en public pour avoir tenu des propos relativement à cette question. Quels sont les éléments qui justifient ça dans votre société en ce moment? Et il faut connaître peut-être les fondements culturels, un certain nombre de choses pour mieux apprécier certaines situations. Et je pense que c'est politiquement peut-être sensible, mais les femmes ont des droits. Et nous sommes engagés dans une communauté internationale. Il y a un minimum que nous devons sauvegarder pour tout le monde. Donc, je conclue, si vous permettez.
Votre temps est épuisé, chers collègues.
Je vous remercie.
Honorable Wassangari.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Je suis quand même heureux que vous ayez pu bien prononcer mon nom aujourd'hui. Merci, Madame la Présidente. Je vais commencer par la Gambie. Je tiens quand même à féliciter la délégation gambienne, mais j'ai quelques préoccupations. On lui félicite dans le document, j'ai vu que la Gambie a progressé dans la lutte contre la corruption. Ma préoccupation, tout en félicitant le gouvernement gambien, je voulais savoir sur les élus, à savoir le président, les ministres et les députés, font une déclaration de leur patrimoine avant et à la fin de leur fonction. Aussi, en ce qui concerne la situation sanitaire, j'ai vu qu'on a seulement parlé dans le document du retour du Covid-19 en ce qui concerne le retour des pèlerins. Quel est le taux de couverture sanitaire en Gambie? Aussi, j'aimerais qu'on nous parle aussi de certaines maladies transmissibles. Pour la Côte d'Ivoire a fait un bon document, mais je me rends